because it's the silly, stupid, fascinating, weird, wonderful. They're my people, and more often than not, they're the geeky people as well.
I mentioned Betamax. For anybody older, that's the old version of a video cassette. Video cassette is an old version of a DVD. A DVD is not set of the clouds. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back after our summer break to a lovely, fascinating, fantastic, and I was about to say cerebral, but that wasn't another F. Fridge full of faith and geekery. My name is Mark.
Well, so far, folks, and my name is Becca.
Hello, Becca. And Lydia is joining us with no sound, but Tom has sound and buffering issues, and Stephen is welcoming us back. And so I think I've mentioned everybody. And Becca, you've also said whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop. Yeah, you probably don't need to read out my comments.
No,
I might hear. I'll whoop whoop.
But yeah, we are coming at you from our places. I've actually moved rooms in our house. I'm now in the study. And so, and I've also got a brand new microphone because I was so sick and tired of the audio issues. So hopefully there aren't any audio issues, especially from my end. And look, behold, Lydia has sound. Hurrah, indeed. Yes, moved as our ongoing mention of cows continues. Hurrah. So Becca and everybody who is streaming, what have we been up to over the summer? What geekiness have you been up to since we last met?
Oh, goodness gracious. Do you think Greenbelt as a festival of arts, craft, politics, faith practices counts as immersive geekiness?
Yeah, I think so. Greenbelt is I was about to say Christian festival, spirit festival, creative, spiritual festival with people of faith there. Some of them are Christian, some of them are just creatives. Is that fair to say? Is that fair to define it?
Yeah, I'd say the majority are probably Christian, or at least Christian baseline. Yeah. But the purpose is to bring together that desire to explore creatively. Thank you, Lydia, for appreciating my hair. And that comes together with that intensity of people that are really keen on their subjects. I think that's why I enjoy when we have a guest here, but also listening to speakers who are just so into what they're talking about and listening to. I think one of my favorite people was listening to Flamey Grant, a Christian drag queen, who was just really kind of passionate about her art form, but then also about what that means in practice. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the geekiest thing I've done, because I've moved house. I've not just moved rooms, Mark. I'm not even in that house. I'm currently in an Airbnb in London. So
the high life. I think if I remember rightly, the Hope and Anchor podcast might have Flamey Grant on, talking about their journey and their ongoing challenges and excitements.
I'll link that in the chat.
Jolly good. Thank you. I also was at Greenbelt. I was going to in kind of cover the whole camping element of Greenbelt, the beer and hymns element of Greenbelt, the Harry and Chris element of Greenbelt. Harry and Chris are a duo of a Christian comedy jazz entertainment, which technically they weren't there officially together. They were doing, Harry Baker was doing Woken Spurred, play on spoken word, but Woken Spurred, and Chris was there as playing his various instruments, and they did just nip up and do a couple of songs together, which was really, really fantastic, much to my daughter's delight. The other things that I've done, and I've tonight I've been prepared. I've written a list.
Ooh.
So over the summer, I was looking back over my pictures, and basically, because that's how I remember things in life, lightsabers, the 100 cricket, running, paddleboarding, rocks, camping, rotivators, Castle Arg, Hogwarts Express, beer and hymns, and 3D printing. So that was pretty much my list of things that I've been up to. Castle Arg is a reference to Monty Python, and the castle that the knights head to at the very end of the film, and basically my father-in-law was going, "Oh yes, we're going to this castle in Scotland," and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay," and then I turned up and it's like, "It's not any castle. This is from Monty Python. You should have sold it with that. I recognise this miles off." Yes, and I am ignoring the whole
with the
like
rabbit.
Yeah, kill a rabbit. Not that bit. It's the very end where they're about to raid the castle, and the police turn up and kind of go, "Oh, you can't do that. That's an offensive weapon. That is. You could have someone's head off," and that's where the film finishes. Big spoiler, but if you've not watched it now, then
that's the end of the film.
Yeah, it is. It really is. That's how it cuts off. I love it. A list is a bit geeky. That's all right. Folks, you've not really mentioned very much about what you've been up to over the summer, but I'm sure we can drop feed those in as we go along. And I've actually just realised I tend to have a little laminated bit of paper that reminds me the order of what we do things. And guess what? I've not brought down with me from my upstairs room. So let's wing it, shall we? I think what comes next is a little bit of geeky news, I think. And I think we go from there. But folks, do please share a bit about your geekiness, what you've been up to. So, no big fanfare this week, but I'm just going to go through some geeky news. And again, another list. What am I? Have I changed being with all my lists? So geeky news, the first thing to mention is rest in peace, James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader, has passed away, as well as Mufasa and other things. I think he just passed away yesterday or the day before. And then lots of things on TV have come up, or film. Deadpool and Wolverine, Rings of Power, Chaos, Only Murders in the Building, season 4, is it? Time Bandits, Slow Horses, Umbrella Academy, Beetlejuice the movie. The things that have been released: Sonic 3 trailer, Minecraft trailer, Yarndale, which is like a North Yorkshire Woolfest is what I call it. Becky gets really annoyed when I call it that, but it's Yarndale. Look it up. That's at the end of this month, and also next month is London Comic Con. And for those who are watching on the stream, there's a little asterisk on London Comic Con. Why do you think there might be a little bit of an asterisk on the Comic Con there, Becca?
Oh, I don't know. Is it because we're doing something with Comic-Con, Mark?
We are doing something at Comic-Con, which is very exciting. The people in the Methodist Church have kind of gone, "Oh, we like this whole faith and geekery thing, and we're thinking of going to Comic-Con. So would you like to come and be part of just immersing ourselves at Comic-Con?" And so we are going to be doing that next month, which has been really exciting. It's really just kind of ease ourselves in, see how we go, and just be present and just, I dare say, have a bit of fun. But I think just kind of bring a bit of a faith perspective and presence without any judgmentalness or otherwise. Just be present and be present and just
are
be.
Are we keeping our cosplay secret, Mark? Or are we
I would want to say yes, really. So it's more of a surprise when we come back, and we can then
We
mention
are
it if
then
it's
going
been
to come and do a
successful.
whole episode in cosplay, aren't we?
I've not thought about that, but that is a possibility. That is a possibility.
Well, it's been said live on the internet now, so it must be true.
Oh, good. Okay, well, we can then bring the people who have been at the
Yes.
yeah, at the Comic-Con, as in our party, not like everybody. Like guest 2024, guest 2025. Keep coming through. And there, I didn't go with people kind of just zooming in. I physically was lining them up. I don't know why, but there we are. It's been a crazy old summer. So just folks, so that is the kind of the geeky news and the things that you've been geekily into. Let's go from here. I have ordered my Bird and Blend TV advent calendar and my needle felting advent calendar. I'm seeing the cows again soon and taking part in Highland Cow Needle Felting Workshop at the farm. That reminds me, there's the Advent escape room thing. My good friend Jenny has shared with us, and it didn't make it to this. What is it called? I think it's like Hunt for the really helpful, isn't it? One moment. The Missing Hollywood Star, which is the Exit the Game, which is coming out this year, which me and our friends always get involved with, and as a family we do it as well. That's very exciting. Tom has been my summer geekiness cricket watching, including many stats. Thank you to Andy Saltzman on TMS. I don't know what TMS stands for. No, can't think of it. Something TMS, some model building and playing on tabletop. Fantastic. I think we might have some pictures of that a little bit later. Oh, and Tom's giving us other ideas. That sounds pretty fantastic.
I was trying to think, because at the same time as the Comic-Con is another really big gaming thing, which the ticket also covers, and I can't.
Oh, really? Oh, that's very good.
Find the link. Yeah, it's one of the bigger ones, and I just can't remember which it was.
Thank you, Tom. Test Match Special is what TMS stands for.
Thanks, Tom.
Oh, and I went to a fan meetup of a singer I met on TikTok and gave her a bag of dragons. I had to read that out loud because I was still trying to process that as I read it on the screen.
I'm still trying to process that. Why a bag of dragons?
Is that somehow related to their act, or is it just like dragons?
A bag of dragons?
We'll wait and see.
I'm waiting. No, everyone's waiting and on tenterhooks.
Dragons are hair as cows are to me.
Nice.
Fantastic.
I did send to Lydia the other day a picture. I can't even. Was I in Next? TK Maxx of onesies with cow prints all over them.
Was it just cow print, or was it lots of cows, individual cows?
It is Next. Next has Highland cows on their pajamas.
That's very good.
That's what happens when you declare your area of special interest. Random people send you random pictures whenever they see a cow.
That's fair enough. Sorry, I'm laughing now, Lydia. She says, I love that people send me cow messages on moosages. Oh, jolly good. I think I even on the template for our flyers for Comic-Con, I think it even mentions cows, just because it is such a part of our conversations and our stream and podcast. So, we tend to have a quiz at some point as well, don't we?
We do. I believe we have the quiz after the news. You've not said whether you're excited about anything in the news, Mark. What particularly are you excited about?
I'll bring that back up again. I think the whole London Comic-Con thing was very exciting.
Yeah, we got distracted, didn't we?
Yarndale, yeah. Becky goes away and I look after the kids whilst she's there, but it's really good to enable her to go and enjoy that, and others. Sonic 3, Minecraft, I think Sonic 3 I'm interested in. Minecraft not so much, but very interested to see. I think it's had mixed reviews of the trailer so far. Beetlejuice, I'm really wanting to see Beetlejuice, but I'll be interested to know if it is as good as what everyone's saying it is. And the main reason why I've mentioned a lot of those other programs is actually I've had a summer of binge watching pretty much all of those. Though we're only on episode 1 of Slow Horses, and really enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine. That was really good. I
still haven't seen it.
Okay, well, I won't spoil it, but I might mention it a little bit briefly later in our geeky gallery. So I'll drop that off the screen again. Is there anything that you're interested or excited by, or you've been watching?
I want to watch all of those things. Less bothered about Sonic 3, but everything else on there. I remember being absolutely distraught at the end of the first Time Bandits when he's just left on his own with his lumps of coal.
Spoiler.
Wow. Wait, is it a remake of the original, or is it? Oh no. I'm sorry.
So folks, that was a very big potential spoiler. To be honest, I've not actually got to the end of it to know whether it is an actual exact.
I still hold the aching pain of the end and have never had any resolution.
I've got to say, I remember that freeze frame, that end little kind of scene, as it just kind of but it's interesting that I had started watching it myself, and then Becky was like, "Oh, should we get the kids to watch it as well?" And they've watched 3 episodes, and they're just like going, "We're traumatized." It's like, why are the parents cold? It's like it's okay, just that they might get better. But again, sorry, potential spoilers or actual spoiler.
That's an actual spoiler.
So yes, but I don't know the outcome of it yet. Anyway, so should we come on to our quiz?
Oh, let's quiz. What are we quizzing? Is it a quiz?
It's a quiz. I should have said, have you got your paper and pen ready, or whatever device, or parchment, tablet?
I have my parchment ready and my quill.
What's it? Jolly good.
Right.
Folks, I'm going to give you a moment, and no cheating with the answers in the messages. Oh, that being said, I think I'm only the one who can see them this evening, because you're technically as a guest. Can you see the...
Yes, I am. I can't see anything. I'm locked out with everything.
The power. So we're returning back to our quiz, which is 5 questions, and we try to embrace the breadth and wonder of all things geekery, and therefore these are quite broad and random. I've got to say, one of these questions tonight, my son helped me with. He kind of went, "Why do you ask this?" And I was like, "Is it interesting?" And then I was like, "Oh, actually, that is genuinely interesting." So you can get an extra point to know which one my son suggested.
Oh, excellent.
At the end, obviously, not like now. Go on, guess. So, question... No. Question number 1, can't say for sure. With the Paralympics underway and the Olympics over, which country won with 40 gold and in total 126 medals? I mean, obviously, they're all winners, really. And to be honest, just to have one golden medal or any medal, silver or bronze, would be pretty cool. It would be up there, just in shot every time. Just like, hello, did you notice the medal? So which country? No googling. And so who won the Olympics? Number 2, the Boeing Starliner spacecraft has returned safely to Earth, but what did it return back to Earth without? So the Boeing Starliner spacecraft has returned safely to Earth, but what did it return back to Earth without?
Mm-hmm.
That was a bit of a, I know this. Mwahaha.
No, it wasn't. It was I don't know this, but I've come up with my own answer, which I'm quite pleased with.
Oh, jolly good, jolly good. Question number 3. With Beetlejuice 2 currently at the cinema, what year was the original film released? Oh man, if I'd been organised, if we'd said the B word one last time, I would have kind of made it so like it popped up. Because I think
That
we've
would have
actually
been quite
mentioned
cool.
it twice so far.
But
It's
isn't
a
it
bit
in
of a
quick
shame.
succession, surely?
Yeah, but it's something like, is it the Community that does something along those lines, where they do that? And even now, I'm just kind of going, I wonder if I can print something off to physically lift up. No, maybe I shouldn't. I shouldn't do that. So yes. What year was the film originally released? Question number 4. The Mischief Theatre Company is known for The Play Goes Wrong, Peter Pan Goes Wrong, and various TV shows and bits and pieces. However, they are celebrating an anniversary. So how old is the Mischief Theatre Company? What birthday are they celebrating? You see, I hope you can see that I've been going quite broad and...
Yeah, no, it is. It's good. It's nice and broad, actually.
And question number 5 is, what is a baby eagle called in the UK? Or what is a baby eagle called, I guess?
I don't know the answer to that question either.
Have you written a smug answer?
I've written a stupid one, yes.
So that is all 5 questions. And
Okay.
just to give you a moment to ponder about those, do any last scribblings. How do you feel that you have done?
Very, very badly.
Very badly. Jolly good.
Yes.
Any other takers before we give out the answers? Anybody wanting to put their head above the parapet and go, of course, I've got all 5 of these? Then shall we begin? The answer to question 1. What did you put, Becca? Any idea?
I put China.
China was second. However, they got the same number. Stephen's put, I've got a fruit fly in here. Probably a nice round number again. I think 0, I think he's pointing out to. Yeah, China came second with 40 gold as well, but they didn't have as many overall medals, which is why I had to be very careful. So it's actually the United States. So that was United States with 40
Well
gold
done,
and
United
126
States.
medals in total. I didn't do the whole Yorkshire thing, because that's always quite a funny one to do, is if Yorkshire was its own country, how well would it have done? Question number 2, the Boeing Starliner spacecraft has returned safely to Earth, but what did it return back to Earth without?
A Russian-speaking dog.
Oh, that's quite cute, really. The answer is the astronauts. So I don't know if you heard about this, but basically there was a bit of a noise sort of going throughout, and they're like, yeah, Houston, we've got a problem. It might not be Houston anymore. Is it Cape Canaveral? It's like, we've got a bit of a problem. And so they then went to because they were only meant to go up to like the International Space Station for 8 days. And basically NASA were going, yeah, we're not happy that this spaceship is making a noise. So why don't you stay up in the ISS? And so they're going to stay up there until 2025. So it may be a 6-month mission.
Whoa.
And basically they kind of auto fly, what is it? Yeah, anyway, automatically piloted autopiloted the spaceship back. But I think they'd worked out though that it was actually just feedback and a feedback loop from some speakers or something. So it was the onboard communication, I think, that was the issue, but they were taking no chances.
Imagine that, internal comms going terribly wrong. That never happens.
Absolutely not. So it was the astronauts that it they didn't come back down with it, which I thought was quite a cool thing. Well, that happened just before the mention of Beetlejuice. It's a good job that we're not into that sort of thing. With Beetlejuice 2 currently at the cinema, what year was the original Beetlejuice film originally released?
I've said 93 because I can't remember.
You were 5 years out. I've realised that I'm on a desk chair, so I'm swiveling. Really annoyingly,
Wait
I've got
till
to kind
I'm
of be still.
at home sitting on my new rocking kneeling stool, and between us, we'll just like a pair of pigeons.
A bit special.
A bit special.
The original film released in 1988.
Oh, wasn't too far out.
5 years. But, yeah, good guess. Mischief Theatre Company is celebrating how long?
10 years?
Spot on. Absolutely.
Yay.
Yeah. And then finally, what is a baby eagle called?
Rupert.
No. Any random guess?
That might be. That was my random. No, I can't think what it's called. A chick.
It's called an eaglet.
See, that would have been, if I could have thought of the words, I wanted to say eaglet, but I was thinking ingot, like a little nugget of.
Well, Lydia's also put like a. Oops. Oh, hello. What's just happened there?
Egret.
Just skimmed up. Egrets. I have a few, as in regrets. I have had a few. But again, a bit of a play on.
She's a funny one, that Lydia. We should keep her.
She is indeed. So that's the official 5 questions. Which question do you think my son suggested?
Number 4.
That was your first guess. That was your second guess.
I'm sticking with it.
And it is incorrect.
Oh.
It was unfortunately question number 5.
It is interesting.
Oh, and Stephen Jones, because he knows him so well, he guessed that was Ruben's question as well.
There
you go.
Nice.
So that is the end of our quiz. Do just be in touch and let us know in the comments, or be involved on Discord if you are listening to us later on. You can feel free to come and join us, chat on there, share things for our geeky gallery at a later date, and just have a chat and be part of the community, really.
Hello,
Tom,
posterity.
Tom got 3 plus the bonus, so well done. So I'll just consider that a 4 out of 6. So that's really good. So
yeah, 4 out of 6.
That is that. We've mentioned Discord. We've mentioned everything else. I think it's going to come on to our conversation. I haven't written a banner yet. I haven't written a banner that I've spelled correctly yet. So tonight it was actually a bit of a ponder, and I'm kind of I'm wanting to bring to the table, as we gather from wherever we are, to sit with our cups or beverages as we join in the conversation around the table. I've really been struck with fictional deity, and this is like the way that kind of, I'm not going to say God, I'm just going to sort of say like godlike beings are portrayed in fiction, and whether that is in books, whether that's in adaptations, whether that's in films or TV series. It was just something that over the last month or two, saying that I'd kind of binged watched things, it was really striking that that kind of a godlike being has been present in a few of these things. So I don't really want to kind of blow any spoilers or anything like that, but it's just been fascinating for me that I was just watching these things and kind of going, oh, that's interesting. Tom's just put missed Beetlejuice by a year and was well out on Mischief. Thought they'd been around a lot longer than 10 years. It's pretty cool. I thought they'd been a lot less than 10 years, actually. So we weigh ourselves out weigh ourselves up there. So fictional deity has been one of those very interesting things. For me, we've just finished watching Chaos. I'm not going to bring any spoilers to that, but Chaos is a Netflix series about a reinvention or retelling of Greek gods, of Zeus in Athena, but it's Jeff Goldblum as Zeus, wearing kind of tracksuits and like really kind of bringing like a 70s kind of 80s kind of, I guess,
As
want to
only
say
he
like
can.
a bit like a Dallas soap sort of kind
Mm.
of style to it, and just does his little dances, and then gets annoyed occasionally and kind of lets off lightning, but not in like a cheesy CGI way, but in a, you see the eruption of the clouds at a distance, so at no point do you see that immediately kind of going on, and it's kind of like a modern now where is it, I've forgotten the island. But this island is controlled by the gods, and every time they kind of talk about Zeus, they kind of have to do a gesture, and so it's all about kind of giving the gods the attention what they deserve or what they command, and so it's this kind of it's all about prophecies, and every person has a prophecy, and so it's can people escape their prophecies? Can they escape, or can they appease the gods? And so it's all really fascinating, and that the gods are amongst them, and so it's just really fascinating to see this kind of dynamic play out. I won't spoil it, but it's just really interesting, and Becky's there kind of going, oh yeah, well they're going to go this direction. I'm thinking, I wish I had kind of geeked it up on, I'd revised, because basically she was like, oh, there's that character, yeah, see where they're going to go, and I was like, genuinely no idea. Really wish I'd read up on the gods, on the Greek gods. So yeah, that
And
was
the
a little
Greek
bit, yeah, on
gods.
the geeky Greek gods. So that was fascinating, and that for me was like oh, that's interesting. Sorry, yes. Haven't watched Chaos yet. No Netflix, but Goldblum as Zeus has better than Russell Crowe. Yeah, because I quite liked Russell Crowe actually in that, but yeah, I can see why a lot of people hated him. It's very, so that's Thor 3, 4, the Love and Thunder with Russell Crowe doing this really. I say a camp Greek accent. I hope that's not offensive, but that's the sort of it seemed very kind of heavily playful accent. But I think I'm also glad he didn't do like an Australian version of it either. So
An Australian version of a camp Greek god.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was technically. Or is he from New Zealand? Where's Russell Crowe from? Oh, somebody can Google us.
Come on, geeky people. This is where you're supposed to be there with the instant answers.
But that's also very interesting, is of how Marvel kind of sees gods, is that they're not kind of this overall deity, but they're just like some other people who have cosmic divine powers.
Yes.
But they don't necessarily create. They're not necessarily of all creation. They're just like bookmarked,
and kind of keep because when you propose the topic, that one of the fictional gods that came to mind is essentially nowhere, is that disembodied head of the great celestial being that is now being mined for the bits that were remaining. And there's something there about kind of knocking out the feet, literally, of the gods, of the deities, of the celestial beings, and then humanoid type beings coming in and mining it. And it says quite a lot about our place in relation to the gods, and how people are understanding and wanting to understand that, and kind of disempowering, that's not quite the word I want to use, the role of gods in the narrative. It's quite interesting, and it's kind of gross as well. It's kind of there's an ick factor to existing within the head and the brain matter of the god, of the celestial being.
Well, it definitely grounds them. So nowhere is officially a place in the Marvel universe, rather than it being nowhere, as in
nowhere is the name of the place.
But again, it's all undermining, isn't it? Because you don't know the god who they've made their home in. And it's true. I feel as if there is this kind of almost retiring element of deity. I used to listen to a podcast called High Rollers podcast, which is a D&D one, and it is a bit of a spoiler, where at the end of their campaign there is this question of, do their main characters want to become gods, or do they have this big decision of, do they become agents of good as deity, or do they actually close off that plane of gods to the real world? And spoiler, they decide to say farewell to gods and deities altogether. And so I find it really fascinating on how these secular productions, secular stories, narratives kind of have this ability just to kind of pocket and sort of say, yeah, you know what, we're doing all right, thanks. And closing the door on.
Because Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy did it, however many years ago it first came out, in terms of the Great Green Arkle Seizure, where is it? Who's it? Who ends his sermon simply with "bless you," because they're just waiting for essentially the second coming, which is a great big sneeze. And it's just, and by using humor, where Guardians of the Galaxy kind of uses this deheadedness, instead they Hitchhikers uses humor to kind of almost dethrone the gods.
Whereas I think something like, and we've mentioned Monty Python already, Stephen has just put on here about whether the Force in Star Wars is deity. I think it's definitely, depending on some, it's definitely held in religious regard, and especially by the Jedi. And you could talk about churchmanship and if they're wielding it correctly, and otherwise I thought Ahsoka, I think Ahsoka was maybe before the summer, but that was really interesting to see how is it Ahsoka? No, it was the other one. The other Star Wars one was the pomp and the ceremony and the grandeur of the Jedi, and actually it's all about how they've lost their way or potentially lose their way. So it's really fascinating how deity is perceived. I was just about to say about Monty Python and about actually whether it's the meaning of life or the Holy Grail. There is this kind of, God is there, but
he's not the Messiah.
Well, that's, yes. And the meaning of life is what I was actually referencing, thinking in my head, but I quoted the wrong one. But do you know what I mean? There is God there, and there's never his deity or his kind of ability is never questioned. It's never called. It's actually just accepted. There is God. I mean, that is taking the mick out of a little bit. Again, dealt with humor, but actually he's never disempowered. He's just there going, "Oh, go on, go and find it." So it's an interesting kind of, but now it's a case of actually we no longer need them, and therefore we can retire them, or we can treat them as side characters, or kind of no longer objective but subjective. And I think that for me is where the other areas come into being. Acolyte, thank you, Tom. I'm really glad other people are actually kind of.
This is why we have other people around.
But this is why we're sat around a table, isn't it? This kind of metaphorical table.
The great big metaphorical round table of geekiness.
Yeah, made more complicated by the existence of Bendu and the rebels and the questions the Acolyte raises with regard who the good guys really are. Yeah, again, I don't want to spoil it for folks, but I do see in the Acolyte, not Ahsoka, the acolyte, where actually you see these people who are meant to be representing this power kind of take it for granted, and through pomp and ceremony and their respect, they lose it, and you can see it falling away, and it's just sad and it's messy. And I realised the acolyte wasn't the best received, but it's just a bit of a shame. But I completely get it, and it's I really liked it for another chapter in the Star Wars saga. The other thing for me I was going to say is the remake of Time Bandits, and again it does echo back to the original Time Bandits of the Supreme Being, and again it's just seeing somebody who is humanish, or who is subjective, somebody who kind of gets annoyed and is just sometimes wound up by things. And so it's just fascinating again to see, rather than a removal of deity, is actually like a personification, like of just humanizing deity. Again, is that unequipping them, or is it making them more relatable? And I find that a really fascinating subject about this whole kind of actually they suddenly become relatable more if you could see them with faults or with passions and emotions, and yet phenomenal cosmic power, to quote Robin Williams. Lydia's commenting, it's very interesting re-watching Stargate. They have been called the Ori who quote from the Bible and have powers to mind control people. And again, this is again quite interesting how it reflects on followers, isn't it? And in Buffy there is a god called Glory who is able to feed on people's minds. Again, it's that digging deeper, isn't it? And it's questioning the integrity and the motivation behind these kind of godlike things.
Do you think we've done similar? You think like kind of anti-hero storylines, like is it Bad Boys with the heroes that are just questionably heroic, where
as in Bad Boys.
Do I mean Bad Boys? The ones
Will Smith
with the heroes where it's just very bloody and gross.
Oh, The Boys.
The Boys, thank you.
Yes.
Where we're kind of taking heroes, adding a whole lot of fault and humanity, and so that they almost cease being infallible. That there's a shift in how we understand the role of power and control and what we need as human beings in order to function, in order to be helped and help other people. That actually the humanization of both deity and hero is part of a bigger conversation about what we need as human beings to be organized or civilized or just basically function.
Yeah,
there's a question in there. I don't know what the question is though.
But I like your mention of hero and superhero. I actually did my dissertation about that. But it raised the question about, actually in the olden days, hero was somebody who sacrificed themselves, their lives. They gave up their lives, and we so often have a hero as being someone who saves the day and walks away. And it's just like it's a lot more moving and a lot more tragic if the hero loses their life. And I think that borrows an awful lot from the Christian story, but I think there are other stories in culture that it also borrows from. I find that fascinating, that we kind of want to eat our cake and cake and eat it. Yeah, well, let's go with that. And Tom has mentioned Pratchett before. I have. Pratchett, of course, reflects on deities quite a lot, both his thoughts on belief and also I love that the wizards and witches don't believe in the gods, not because they think they don't exist, but because they know they do. It's difficult to be an atheist when you know you'll be struck down by a thunderbolt. Yeah, and again, and I've tried not to mention that, but because Terry Pratchett is really good at kind of including the gods and talking about belief in the world, and again, he never argues about whether they exist, but it's more a fact, that how society responds to deity and how they sometimes want to just ignore them, and yet the Hogfather is very good for exploring those sort of themes, as well as small gods and other works from Discworld. It's very fascinating. I am going to mention another thing, and it's not my speciality, but I have been watching Rings of Power. So for anybody who is currently watching, I'm trying not to do a spoiler either, but I'm just going to talk about one character that appears in the latest episode. So, cover your ears now, as I type it in the banner. No, cover your ears now. But Tom Bombadil is a character that we come across, and this is very much, even in broad TikTok videos and kind of conversation, people are recognizing him as Tolkien's kind of god-like character, but who is so laid back and is so just kind of takes everything in their stride. I don't personally know the outcome of what happens to Tom Bombadil, but the way he's presented is in such a jovial and embracing, laid back perspective. I was just like, wow, this is really nice. This is quite a nice break from the giddy, the fallen, the broken, the hell-bent deity kind of picture, to actually being one that is like a warm cuddle, of God. And it's just like, wow, okay, this is so different. But I guess this is maybe coming from where Tolkien's belief was and otherwise. But I just found that really fascinating. And again, especially genuinely going from chaos, where you've got an angry Zeus character, and then kind of watching the next episode of Rings of Power, and they're kind of going, gosh, both of these are operating, talking about deity in such a big way. Tom has also put about Neil Gaiman is problematic. I do like American Gods, both the book and the TV show, as reflections on old and new gods. As well as Sandman, that is also a very fascinating portrayal. I personally, I feel always a little bit on edge where Neil Gaiman is concerned about his of how he portrays God and otherwise, or demons and stuff. But that's just my personal thing, But yeah, I found Sandman really intriguing as well. Again, it's bringing that humanity and their motivations, and can you ever trust a God?
Yes, can you ever trust anything that is both sentient and all powerful? When we know what power does to human beings, what is it that controls something or some being that has ultimate power, like the gods that steal brain waves, or that can control your mind, that Lydia mentioned. And the more we believe in the power of humanity as technology advances, as we believe that we can overcome all sorts of things, and you get that irrelevance of deity, and yet deity is supposed to be this powerful thing. Where is the trust in that?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where humor can kind of slap up against it and challenge that and ask questions about it, and kind of science fiction and fantasy can explore the discomfort and the disquiet we have with the all powerful and manipulative and controlling.
And I think that's where I quite like. I felt the freshness of Tolkien. I know that Tolkien's is kind of the oldest one that we mentioned, but it's quite nice in the culture of where godlike people are questioned and kind of dragged through the mud. Tolkien, it seems, has much more of an innocent, but much more of a broader, objective understanding of God or godlike beings, and therefore their motivation is never under question. It's more a case of, oh, there is God, and I quite kind of it. And again, as a person of faith, then maybe it is just something that is nice for me, and it is my warm cuddle. But I do find it. But I do enjoy for exercising and exploring, fiction and otherwise, to see how gods and deity are portrayed. So so I think that's what we're kind of bringing tonight, really, and it's just purely motivated out of these kind of things that I've been watching. And so I hope that has been a bit of a okay conversation, and if there's anything else to say before we move on to Geeky Gallery, which, got to say, I think the last time we met before summer, it was a little bit quiet. This time, I've got to say, we've all been a bit busy over summer, which is good. And I'm really glad that you've been able to share. This is our second plug for Discord. This is the place where you can kind of log in. Discord is a funky little app. Everywhere this is being broadcast, there should be a link to our Discord. I think it's already in the comments as well as in the blurb. So this is a place where you can gather and continue the conversation around the table, even when we are not streaming. And so there is going to be our Geeky Gallery. So I'm going to bring this up now and bring in my own sound effects, so it seems. And I couldn't remember this last time whether we mentioned it. I think it technically was on the PowerPoint, but just wanted to give another plug to Sam. Sam was on the podcast a while back, and so she just wanted to share the fact that her book is now on pre-order. In fact, it came out yesterday. It says on there. The title will be released on September the 9th. So it is September the 10th as we record this. So it's called Fractures in the Body of Magic. And I can't remember. I should have really maybe got the blurb or otherwise, but maybe we can get Sam on to share a little bit, or to share a bit of a blurb about it. So that's that. And then I've decided to kind of show all these in person, oriented around the person. So this hopefully sums up a little bit of Lydia's summer, whether it is painting classes, winning the Lady and the Tramp at a raffle, making pom-pom Highland cows, dribbles in the hobbycraft, or Highland coos in abundance, and or practicing pens. I've got to say, just as you'd kind of pointed out some pictures for Lydia, I did try and take photos of cows in the Highlands in the shadow of Ben Nevis, but unfortunately it was raining and they were miles away. And so there's little tiny specks on the horizon, and I thought it wasn't worth it. Moving on, Tom has been playing a load of games, 40k at the club yesterday, a while back, one-page rules skirmishing. He has also shared some pictures of cows, and I think there's a moderately far away Lydia. She's put a small or far away, and then also 40k club trying out newly bought army, which looks also very cool. And then Tim has been sharing. I didn't actually catch what these things were under the district map, and then also was talking about playing Magic the Gathering to bring things home, to realise that he already had some Magic the Gathering stuff at home already. I've got to say, I think I've done that sort of thing before, not with Magic the Gathering, but I've bought something geeky and kind of go, oh, I really like that, and then get home and kind of go, oh yeah, I still really like this because I've already bought it. Like, I'm just going to hide that away. And Tim has mentioned about Dr. Pepper with a US export of coconut cream flavour. I don't do coconut, but I love Dr. Pepper, but that would not get me anywhere near it with the mention of coconut.
That deserved a full body shiver then. Sorry,
Yeah,
Jim.
drinking a Bounty bar that absorbed the soul of a dying Dr. Pepper can. Okay, you can enjoy that. And also, we've had a bit of banter on there about the Lego. So bringing together two faves of mine. I think I've technically got it on the next slide. However, down here, I have my Lego bag with my D&D characters in it, and we're using minifig search, I think. So it allows you to minifig scan, which is an app that allows you to scan the outside of the packet to work out who your characters are, or what the characters are, in order to to know what they are without having to open them, or do that little kind of plastic bag feel to work out what unique shape is in them. They're now in cardboard boxes. And Lydia has also said, that there are some Royal Mail D&D stamps coming as well. So that's been fun. And I think that's basically... Oh, yeah, I was going to mention Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine. And that's my collection of my minifigures. But my friend Mark, bless him, he came all the way up from Lincoln to go to the Odeon just down the road from us, because it is a really cool Odeon, kind of ultra maxi, whatever it is, deluxe viewing. And we sat in there, and basically we saw these wonderful screens. And so we're like going, okay, so that's a test card. That's new. And after 20 minutes of watching these various screens, I was technically taking photos because I was thinking it's not part of the main performance. But then a manager came out going, "Oh, we're having problems with the projector. It'll be fine, but we'll be skipping the ads." So we skipped the ads, and then Mark and I were chatting. He's very geeky about his sound and his video, and it was saying about how there are two projectors in operation in these big cinemas, and basically one of them was not working, so they literally had to turn one of the projectors off. So it wasn't as in your face, it wasn't as pixel perfect, but it was still a really good experience of going to see Wolverine. And I did manage to get a free ticket because they had failed so badly. But it just goes to show how, even at these fantastic, wonderful things, I did feel for my friend who then had to drive back to Lincoln with this slightly below par experience. So it was just quite fascinating to see that. But it was good to see Deadpool and Wolverine. And I believe that is the end of our geeky gallery.
Marvellous.
So I think that's pretty much everything. I think we just need to mention the fact that, yes, we're going to Comic-Con. We are continuing with Faith and Geekery. I think we're still wanting guests. We've got some guests lined up in time, but none on the immediate horizon. And so it'd be good to gather some guests if you know friends who are geeky, passionate about things, which, whether they're mainstream or further downstream or on an island far, far away, please keep them in mind, or send them a link of this, and remember to like and subscribe. And follow us and all that kind of malarkey, and join the Discord. But just be part of the conversation, and if you think of people who can have fun and join the table conversation, then please be in touch, or encourage them to watch, follow, like, and or take part in the community too. And I'm sure we can invite them. Equally, if you've got ideas for guests and friends, or further afield, we can always have a go. Or specials as well, because we're a fan of a special occasionally, aren't we? So so like that. So I think that is everything. Is there anything left to say, Becca?
No. Just remember, geeky is an attitude. It is the way we approach the world, with curiosity and mindless devotion, even if everybody else thinks we're geeky. We are, and we embrace it.
Absolutely. Well, fantastic. Thank you, folks, for joining us, commenting, and for those listening on the podcast. Bye-bye for now.